I would like to officially call to order the Tuesday, February 6th, 2024 meeting of the Bolton Conservation Commission. Excuse me. And pursuant to the amendment of Bill H. 3548 and Governor Healy's signing of such amendment into law in March of 2023, expressing certain provisions of the open meeting law, this public meeting of the Town of Bolton Conservation Commission is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but the public can access this meeting while in progress by Zoom Video Communications, Inc. Members of the public attending this meeting virtually will be allowed to make comments if they wish to do so during the portion of the hearing designated for public comment by telephone, cell phone, or personal computer using Zoom. We ask all participants to utilize the chat or raise hand function if they wish to address the board. We will let people on Zoom will remain on mute until they are actually addressed by the board, and participants are required to display their first and last names. That said, by tradition, we've started with a roll call of current members. I am Brian Barabee.
Paul Brandwalt.
Jim Garrity.
Laura Stevenson.
All right. First up this evening, the Bolton Conservation Commission will now open the public hearing under Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Bolton Bylaw, Chapter 233, to consider a notice of intent for 160 Still River Road, proposed construction of a single-family home. Lauren, is the applicant or a rep for the applicant with us this evening?
Yes, we have Thomas Broomfield here with us.
Okay, Mr. Broomfield, would you mind giving us a quick rundown on what you are proposing?
Good evening. This is my son, David. We're looking at building a single-family home on that property. Would be for my son, David, and his family.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm just looking at some of the items that have been submitted.
Would you like me to share?
I was going to say, Lauren, is there a way? Yeah, could you put it up on the screen?
Sure. A minute. Do you want me to pull up the plan?
That would probably be best. Yeah, if you have
Okay.
the overhead. Basically, it shows the resource areas.
All right. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, great.
All right. There's still river.
I'm not sure how to move over. Oh, here we go.
All right. And Lauren, are you able to kind of point out the existing home, where the proposed home is going?
It looks like right here is the footprint of the proposed house.
Okay.
We have the river up here, and so this falls in within the 100-foot buffer zone.
That's one of the, yeah, I just want to say it's riverfront. Okay.
Yep.
Right. If you see the little box in front of the proposed, that is an existing garage there, a 2.5 bay garage, which will stay.
Okay. And the house is being added on to it, basically?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Well, we have to do the final architectural drawings, but that there is an existing garage there. We probably have to change the shape of it a little bit, not the foundation, but the shape of it. Yeah.
Right, and how it would
Roof
attach and
lines
everything.
and stuff. Yeah.
All right. So, generally speaking, like, I'm curious. Do we hear back from DEP yet? Do we have a DEP file number for this, Lauren?
Oh, you know what? I actually didn't check today, so I'm not sure if we've received one. But Thomas, did you receive anything from DEP?
No, other than the green card that they received the information.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna open it up for a minute to other commission members to see if they have any initial questions. Generally speaking, we will wait for DEP comments. We need to hear what they have to say before we'll make our final ruling. But that will give us a chance to schedule a site visit if possible, before our next meeting to actually get out there in the field and take a look at the area and see where it's being proposed, where the wetlands actually sit. Is that something, well, I know depending on where you are in planning this construction wise, generally speaking, one of the things we'd like to see is kind of just kind of mapped out where the house, if it's kind of staked out in the field, where the dwelling would be one thing that we would normally like to see. But also anything that's being proposed within Riverfront, we need to see the riverfront marked generally by a wetland biologist or somebody who is actually trained in this to actually establish where the bank of the river is. And if all the offsets, that 100-foot offset, are true and that we agree with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yes, in fact, that's already been done.
Okay. All right.
So the blue flags are out there. It was Goddard Consulting that put the flags in.
Perfect.
And then this drawing was done by Dillis and Roy.
Yep.
So they came and put those, located those blue flags, and we had them put the corner, mark the dotted line that you see for the house there. We had put those posts in, so they added those and gave you the distances from the flag river there. The river proper is quite a ways away.
Yeah.
But also have elevations staked as well. You can see the 65.8 and the 77.5 dimensions those are from the two corners of the house to the marked wetlands.
Okay. No, that's generally speaking one of the things that we want to look at in the field is that demarcation, make sure that we agree with it, we can see where it is, and then generally if you can stake out where the proposed house is going to be, and I know you don't have the exact dimensions yet, but to get an idea of, we're looking to put it in this general area.
Yeah.
Those
So we can
stakes are in the ground.
there are. I'm sorry, and you had mentioned that, and I apologize. So that said, I'm going to open it up to other commission members to see if they have any initial questions. But at this point, we'll probably wait to get DEP comments in and schedule a site visit to actually come out and take a look at it in the field, if that makes sense. So let me do that. Other commission members have any initial comments or questions regarding this project?
No, I just want to see a site visit.
Driveway, is it on this side of the 100-foot or on the other side? Is it in the front section? There's nothing that's showing a driveway there, so I'm just kind of curious.
Well, we were waiting to get through this part before. It would be to the right of the, standing out on the Still River Road, it would be to the right side of the house.
No, I was looking, is it wrapping around the back or is it staying towards the front of the house?
It would be towards the front of the house where the existing garage is.
Oh, awesome, thank you.
Okay.
So how big is the house going to be, or the footprint of the house approximately?
Approximately 2,300 square feet.
And is this on the property with Broomfield Laboratories?
No, it's a separate piece of property. You can see right next to the commercial or industrial building, there's a property line there. Originally, this property was, and why there's several property lines shown on this, and that's just the way you go do the deed history. Originally, my father purchased the property, and it was just under 300-foot frontage. And when he built the little house that you see on that same one right there, he needed to have 150-foot frontage, so he bought 10 feet, and that's what the 10-foot is. It goes right through the proposed house. That 10 feet was purchased at that point to make it a buildable lot, and then 50 feet was purchased later. So now it meets the current standard of 200 feet. Or more than 200.
Yeah.
feet. Yeah.
Okay. All right, good. Okay, yeah, I would agree a site visit would help to visualize this.
Okay. I should ask you, any members of the public here tonight to comment on this particular hearing? And I'm not seeing any. All right. So the other thing the one other thing I would say is, and Lori had a really good point with the driveway. And I understand this is kind of, you want to see if you can do it, you know, trying to get these plans going. Generally speaking, we would want to see a finalized driveway plan. It's difficult. Usually we can approve like a general footprint or box size for a house that may not be fully completed yet, but we generally like to see a center line or a driveway plan on the plans to show exactly what you said, that it is going to be in the front of the house. It is going towards Still River Road. It might be something that we can get in narrative form if we're talking about directions and all that good stuff, but just letting you know now, that's something we would probably want to see on plans before we were able to approve them. Does that make sense?
Another thing that is up in the air right now, we need to approve a septic system as well, but that's part of the building permit process. We had an engineer look at it, and it will probably go between the road and the garage area. So
Yeah. So, and again, I could be wrong on this, and I do apologize. I think we would continue moving forward, but the filing before that you have before us, I know it says that it's a notice of intent, but it's almost like an ANRAD. Lauren, do you know what I'm referring to? An ORAD or an ANRAD? In other words, there is an approval process where we can come up and say where the river banks are, that we agree with where all the resource areas are. But in order for us to do an order of conditions, we're going to 100% need to see the septic, where that lies. We're going to need to see the driveway. And again, we like to see a final house design, but we can deal with a footprint. I just think your filing's missing a lot for an NOI right now. I'm more than happy to keep moving forward with it, because I think for us to go out there and basically agree with the delineations of the wetlands and everything kind of helps the whole process to move forward. And getting DEP's comments back will be instructive too, if they spot some big problem that's going to hold you up somewhere else. But as far as an actual notice of intent goes, I think it's actually missing a lot. Again, the septic is 100% something that we need to see on a notice of intent filing within wetland resource areas.
well, I was told by the building department that they couldn't do any of that until we had conservation approval. So
Yeah.
So I don't.
No, well, it's
wetland-
no 100%. But for conservation to approve it, we'd actually have to see a plan for it and a design and a location and all of those things. Do you understand? Like, we can't say, well, any septic system. We need to see exactly where it's going to go, what type of system it's going to be. They make you put in a reserve field, where the reserve fields are going to be. I just think we're missing a lot of information here. Again,
We're also
I'm not saying we can't move forward. We absolutely can, because this will give us a chance to get out there for a site visit, get DEP comments in. And if you haven't heard from them, one of the reasons you may not have is I bet they have that same question is, well, where's the septic? But it will allow everything to move forward. And it might be that, you know, in a future meeting, we ask you to come back with revised plans that show that. But it's hard for us. We really can't approve an order of conditions without seeing half the things that need to be in there. But we can move forward, like I said, as far as doing a site visit goes. And I can follow up more too, Lauren. I know you're recording this. We can kind of follow up with Rebecca tomorrow, but I think I'm right on this, that we would really kind of need to see some of those for a full notice of intent.
We're also missing a well.
Yeah, well,
I know my eyesight's bad, so I'm looking.
Well, one on the well, and I've spoken to Bill Brookings on that. And we do have for that existing house that you see on there.
Yep.
This is a what do you call it now? We can put the
Carriage house or a accessory dwelling.
it's an accessory dwelling, so that it can share the septic and the well. We have chosen to put a new septic in and leave the existing septic for the house that's existing. My brother lives there currently.
Okay.
And that is also connected to the business lot as far as the water goes, which is a public water supply. It is tested regularly and whatnot, so we may just use that water. It already goes over to the garage.
Okay.
May need to have that stated somewhere, just so we know there isn't a well being proposed later on or something like that.
And I'm sure Board of Health's going to want to see that one too. They're going to want to see how water ties in for the new place.
Yes, I think what we need to do in that case is we need to speak to the people in charge of the public water system. I have that person's name.
All right.
Again, we were trying to move ahead with the conservation first. That's what we were told to do,
Sure.
so.
Well, I like I said, I think we can continue to move it ahead, because, you know, we have this now, we've started the hearing. We can always take revised plans later if we need to add in septic or something else. But for right now, we can come out, do the site visit, and we'll wait for DEP to get their comments back. Like I said, Lauren, if you can review this hearing tomorrow with Rebecca. Rebecca Longwell is our town's conservation agent. She's also pretty knowledgeable in the process. She might have some good idea of, you know, we're going to want to do this first and then this, and she might have a better idea of steps or what we're missing, or you know, who to talk to in public health or something to make sure we can keep everything moving forward.
She has seen this drawing as well, and I've reviewed it with her.
Okay.
The DEP one, forgive me, but isn't that the place in Worcester that's the DEP office?
It's in Worcester or Boston?
Yes.
It's the
We have the
Worcester one.
central regional office, which is in Worcester.
Yes, I personally brought the plans down there, but they were just received, so I don't know any more than that. I can make a point to go down there and try to follow up on it. Or do you have?
I don't think you'll need to go down there and do that. They usually send them out by email, and I can actually look online too to see if they have anything. I forgot to check in on that today, but they usually post the file number in their comments once they have them available.
And we'll have 2 weeks before our next meeting, so we'll have a chance to get out and go for a site visit. If we hear back from DEP in the next, week and a half, that gives us a chance to review it before the meeting. So we definitely have time on that. If we haven't heard from them as the meeting's coming up, sometimes I know we've reached out and said, hey, where are you on this, to see if we can kind of spur them, but I think they might have enough time now. We should hear from them.
Oh, okay. Do you want to set a date for the coming out?
Sure.
I can follow up with you tomorrow over email. If that's, I think that'll be easier for everybody.
Okay.
We try not to set them in the public forum. We've run into trouble with that before. It's generally best practices that we set the data offline. All right. So all that said, we're going to go ahead. If it's fine with you, we'll continue this to our next meeting. And in the interim, we'll all get out on site and we'll await DEP's comments and see what else we might need for this filing just to keep moving it forward.
One other question. Do we need to notify the abutters and all that for the next meeting?
No.
No, okay.
No, yeah. Well, yeah. Once you've already noted, because what we'll do is we'll continue this public hearing, and it will go out in the agenda notes and all the regular public filings. But if the abutters have been notified of this hearing, then it's for the life of this hearing if it continues or not.
Thank you very much for your consideration. Look forward to meeting you on the site.
No problem. We will see you. We will see you hopefully in the next week or so. And Lauren, I just want to double check. Our next meeting is the 20th, correct?
Let me just make sure. I believe so. Yep, it's the 20th.
And do we have anything already on the agenda? What's our first open time slot, I guess?
We have 7 o'clock.
All right. So in that case, I'm going to make a motion that we continue the public hearing for 160 Still River Road until our next public meeting, Tuesday, February 20th, 2024 at 7 o'clock p.m. Do I hear a second for continuing?
Second.
All right. All those in favor, starting with Paul,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and Lauren, I'm an aye as well.
Thank you.
So thank you, Brufield. We will see you at a site visit, hopefully within the next week or so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. All right. Oh wow, everything else is I've just going through everything else. Do we have anything else time-wise?
Nope, the only thing that we needed to have a time for was reviewing the draft revisions.
Yep.
But everything else is, there's no time with them.
Well, that is excellent. Do you have in front of you the draft? Could you put it up on the screen, Lauren, the
Yep.
draft revisions with our outstanding questions?
Sure.
All right.
So we actually have both the draft, the bylaw, and then we also have the bylaw regulations. So those are two separate things.
Okay.
So we could start with the bylaw itself. I don't think there were that many questions that we had. Rebecca had outlined questions in the regulations. So why don't we
Okay.
start with just the bylaw?
Yep.
Okay. All right, can you see that?
Could you blow it up a little bit? I can though, and I can look at it. But if you can make it a little bigger, that's even better.
Let's see. How's that?
Better, much better. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is the article 10. All right. Okay. So this is, so I was going to say, we got rid of our deletions, right? Did we strike? Oh no, we still have some of the strike throughs. This is just showing us our proposed additions, correct? Yeah, and some of we do have the strike throughs in there as well. Okay. I knew we had to change some of the wording.
Yeah, so I think what Rebecca was saying is to just take a vote to accept everything as amended unless you have other things that you want to change. So it'd be a vote to accept it as amended and then recommend the article to be placed on the town meeting warrant.
All right.
So just so I'm clear, so anything that's underlined is an add or something that's changed, and then the strike throughs are obviously strike throughs, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And some of it was just going into further explanation on some of the strike throughs, some things that we found that could be not misleading, misinterpreted. It was basically just trying to nail down some of those interpretations a little bit better in some cases, and in some cases it was extending out resource areas. It was fun weekend reading, to tell you the honest truth. I forgot when we had originally gone through this. But nothing jumped out at me as saying, oh, wait a minute, we need to revisit that, or, oh, I don't know if we like that. But I'm comfortable with it as it stands right now. I'm just curious if everyone else is as well.
So Jim, I don't know if you have it up on your screen. I can see that Brian and Paul have it pulled up, and Lori too. Just let me know if you want me to scroll down at all.
Yeah, I should probably bring it up on the screen. Is this, you can keep on going. Don't wait for me. Yep.
Right. To restore. Okay. So, I'm sorry, Jim, do you want some more time with it? Perfectly
No,
fine. I just know we need to either agree or disagree tonight. I just know they need it to get on the warrant.
no, I'm good. No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
I think I had the
Paul or
questions I
Lori,
had were
any
on
other-
were on the regulations, but yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. So, excuse me. So for the draft wetland bylaw, Paul or Lori, any other questions, comments, changes, or are we comfortable with it?
We're good.
Yeah, I think I'm good. Thanks, Brian.
Okay. In that case, excuse me. I'm going to call for a roll call vote to accept the bylaw as amended. As amended and presented at this evening's meeting. All those in favor, please say aye, starting with Paul,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and Lauren. I'm an aye as well. Now I'm going
Thank
to
you.
call for a second bylaw vote, second bylaw vote. Wow. A second roll call vote. This is to approve recommending the article be placed on the town meeting warrant. All those in favor, please say aye, starting with Paul.
Aye.
Oh, maybe. Or
Aye.
okay. Sorry, Jim,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and Lauren. I'm an aye as well.
Thanks.
Okay. Now are you able to pull up the articles?
Sure. So I have the actual bylaw regs here, but then I have the one that has Rebecca's notes. So I don't know if you want to pull up that one first and we can go through those.
That's probably best. Yeah.
Okay.
This is draft bylaw regulations. Sorry, I'm just reading, pulling up on my own here. Regulation system. All right. Looking at her first comment, the clearing of water course. And I think you can see some of Rebecca's reasoning behind why she thinks that this should be removed. Check as proposed. So I'm guessing, I'm just trying to look at the whole, I'm trying to think if it makes sense to, if we can approve a number of these, but I think we might just best to go one at a time. So when it comes to the clearing of watercourse, that proposed strike through, people comfortable with it? People have questions about it? Want to see that change or not changed?
Yeah, I'm okay striking it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's fine with me.
All right. Yeah, I'm just trying, Lauren, can you scroll down? I'm trying to see how many questions do we have? I'm trying to think if I can do it all at once at the end, if it just makes sense doing each one individual. It looks like.
I think it makes sense to go through each one because some of them are asking for specific
Yeah,
numbers.
there's gonna be more. You're right. All
Yeah.
right. So, roll call vote, all those in favor of the proposed strike through of clearing of water courses, please say aye, starting with Paul,
I
Jim,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well, Lauren. All right. All right. I've been saying, if people can see the second question from page 15, looking through it, I see her notes, see my notes. I'm fine integrating those two paragraphs. But again, happy to hear if somebody has a different idea or different thoughts, or would prefer to see the two paragraphs separate.
Is there a version where they're integrated? Because it says, integrate two as proposed shown above. Is that integrated what we're looking at, or?
I think 3 is the integrated. I'm trying to think if 1 is not shown there.
Oh, I see.
I might be able to do
Well,
a split screen where we can see the actual document next to this. Let me try to do that.
That might help.
That's not it. 1 second. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for 1 minute.
Sure.
Okay, it's pretty small though. Let's see, oops. Now, I don't know if that's too small for everybody.
We don't see them side by side, Lauren.
Yeah.
Oh, you
I
don't
guess
see
it's
them?
small. I guess it's too small.
Oh, what are you seeing?
Just the document that we were originally showing.
Okay. Okay, so I guess I won't be able to do a split screen then. If it helps, let's see, maybe I can just try to pull this up.
The track
Okay.
changes. Yeah, that's a.
So it was these two right here, number 2 and 3. It doesn't look like there was a paragraph that can combine the two.
Okay. So, okay, this helps. Right. All right, so yeah, there it is. Sorry, my eyes are horrible. Okay. Okay. Oh, no, oh, beautiful. All right, so it looks like paragraph 1 is the one that has them both combined. I'm seeing the wording right. Right. Yeah, one would be the same as proposed. So yeah, she has them both integrated into one, or best available term, which I am fine with. If that makes sense to others, if I'm reading it right and seeing it right, I'm fine with 2 and 3 being combined into one. Right. So, project stormwater. Yeah. Others have thoughts on it or are reading it different? All right. Comfortable with it if I propose that we integrate paragraphs 2 and 3 as proposed in this draft document that we are looking at? All right, in that case, I'm going to make a motion. I'm going to call for a roll call vote. All those in favor of combining basically paragraph 2 and paragraph 3 to form a new paragraph 1 as drafted and proposed in front of us. All those in favor of that, please say aye, starting with Paul.
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and Lauren, I'm an aye as well.
Thank you.
All right, so page 16, I think is the next one, right? Purpose surface.
Yes.
Yeah, this is- all right. See, this is Lauren, do you have her notes on this one in front of you? This is one I was curious to see if we could benchmark against what other local communities were doing.
All I'm seeing here is she gives the example that even though this isn't specific to riverfront area, the
Yeah.
riverfront area mentions
Which is-
10% or 5,000 square feet.
Must not increase impervious surface area. 10%. Should not result in said increase. At least 5%, preferably more. I was going to say, I'm curious if others have thoughts on this one. I could see just mimicking that 10% or 5,000 square feet. I'm not sure if there is, again, I wish I had found, see what was more common. I'm guessing with Rebecca putting in that example that is fairly a common one that we have seen. And I know we've run into that one before in on other projects. Would people be comfortable doing the 10% or 5,000 square feet, adding it for page 16? As I say, not seeing any request to change.
I'm just trying to understand what this actually means in practical terms.
Sure. And so
Thank you, me
when it
too.
comes to the I was gonna say, when it comes to the riverfront ones, I know we've run into this where if they're proposing paving like half the site, it gets to a point where it's like, no, you're not allowed to make that much of it impervious. And I think that's usually at a state level. Like there is a DEP level where you cannot go past this amount of disturbance within a riverfront area. I'm sure there's always ways around it. I think this is us putting it in with basically new developments. So whatever, somebody purchases 20 acres to put in 10 new homes, then only 10% of that land can become pervious as far as driveways go, stuff like that, foundations, driveways. It basically limits it to that. And then what does it say? And then
But is it only inside jurisdictional areas though? that we're talking about here?
I would imagine it would be for us. Yes, correct.
Right, okay.
And again, because that would be the X percent would be what percent of resource areas are getting paved is my guess,
Yeah,
becoming
yeah.
impervious.
Right, but it says, how am I reading this?
Yeah.
Is this, I guess I didn't read it that way, Brian.
Oh,
I
okay,
thought
go
it was
ahead.
the
Go
whole-
ahead.
No, I guess, maybe I'm confused here.
Oh, go ahead. You're not. Finish what you're saying, what you wanted to say, Jim, because I think you are correct.
But I thought it said the whole, it was the entire lot. Did I read this?
Per lot, right? New development must not increase.
How did I read it? Is this a new requirement, Brian, or are we modifying an existing requirement?
I wish I could see her the side by side one on this one too. What the percentage was, or if there was a percentage before.
Oh, do you want me to go back to the one with the track changes?
Please, yeah, for that would be excellent.
And that's page 16.
Page 16. New development must not
Yeah,
increase.
I'm reading project site. So to me, that's the entire lot, correct? Not just the resource areas or, the jurisdictional areas. If I'm reading it that way.
So it looks like this is completely new. They're not editing out any specific numbers.
Yeah, it's an ad, right?
Okay.
But I think
Yeah.
and I could be wrong, that this is there at the state level, but maybe not in our bylaws. So I know we've run into this with the total square footage. New development must not increase.
And I will mention, at the last meeting, I was incorrect that the regulations need to go to town meeting. It's actually just the bylaw that we voted on. So any
Okay.
of the regulations, they can be amended during any meeting that we have going forward. So this is just to
Oh, excellent.
vote on everything and go to town council for review. But if you want to change numbers later, we could do another vote at a future meeting.
Excellent. Well, if that's the case, 'cause I knew we were up against a time crunch but I was thinking it was with these too. If that's the case, could we ask a question, or could I ask you to ask Rebecca if we could get some benchmarking, if we get some idea of what other towns are doing, and also that will give some of us, namely me, a good chance to kind of read up and make sure I really understand exactly what it's saying. And Rebecca might be able to give us a little bit of a little bit of help in understanding it if she sees where we were confused tonight.
Sure, for this specific one, or well, any of them as we
Yeah,
go
well,
down?
anyone, but this specific one, I'd be
Sure.
curious.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll ask her about it.
Yeah, the percentages of the lot, not just the resource areas or the buffer zones. Is when I'm reading X% of the lot.
Mm.
So if it's a 20-acre lot, it would be based on the size of the lot, how many houses, I guess.
Oh, okay. Which I think makes sense. Like I said, I think that we have that at a state level, and I will be curious to see if she could give us any more information on that one.
Okay, so do you want to just hold on that one for now?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
So there's the page 23 one. I was gonna say I was comfortable with this one as proposed. Instead of our subject, I'd change it to and subject. Where after the strike through, I'd get rid of the R and change that to and. But and this was one of those ones we talked about where it's just to remove any confusion, where it's just banks and beaches are resource areas, period, without getting into whether they're doing this or that. It just say banks and beaches are resource areas, period. Don't qualify it. Does that make sense to everyone? Are people comfortable with that one?
Looks good.
Okay. In that case, I'm going to call for a roll call vote. All those in favor of.
Sorry, Brian, before you
but-
continue, I
Yeah,
want to
sorry.
make sure that I'm understanding what you're saying.
Sure.
So So you're saying banks and beaches are resource areas, period.
No, I'm sorry. I was saying that for emphasis. I think the way it reads, banks and beaches are resource areas. Well, right now it would read banks and beaches are resource areas are subject to protection. And I think it should read banks and beaches are resource areas and subject to
Oh, and-
protection under the
okay,
Bolton
I got
Beacon
it.
bylaw. Is that okay?
Yes. Okay.
All right. So again, I'll call for a roll call vote to approve the page 23 article as amended and discussed. All those in favor of making that change, please say aye, starting with Paul,
I,
Jim,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and Lauren. I'm an aye as well.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to 2728. Any structures. This is an interesting one as people read through this, but I'm not sure who had requested removing it.
That would be me, Brian.
I was going to say it seems hard to follow, and it seems like you could actually it might put you in a position to do something we don't want somebody to do. Like I could see getting rid of it. Do you want to kind of explain some of your thinking?
Sure. So, I mean, land subject to flooding, isolated land subject to flooding, those are resource areas.
Yeah.
Right. So I know there is another section where it says that, I think it's the state law says you can modify up to 5,000 feet. And I think we put 2,500 feet of modification of resource areas. But my head was around, if you need to anchor your house so it doesn't float away, you probably shouldn't be building on it.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, and and I think it's somewhat like you got to anchor your shed, which I don't know, how much that actually protects us, but it was more about understanding that exterior walls, any mechanical or utility equipment in a structure must be elevated to or above flood levels in the area. I think that could be a tough one. You might have somebody that has a shed on the ground that we're going to say, well, you're going to have to move that shed 4 feet off the ground. So you're above, we shouldn't let them build in the floodplain to begin with, but I could see getting rid of this one. I think it might back us into things we don't want to have to deal with. And, if somebody doesn't anchor their house to the ground, that's on them. Does anybody have a different thought? People comfortable with removing it?
Mhm.
yeah,
All right.
I would agree.
In that case, I'd like to call for a roll call vote. All those in favor of removing page 2728, subsection E, as proposed and discussed at this evening's meeting, please say aye, starting with Paul,
I,
Jim,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well, Lauren. All right. So this is the vernal pool offset one. This could be an interesting one. I was comfortable with the 100 feet. As I've said, I'd like to go to the 200 feet, but I could see how that could be very restrictive for some people. I think starting with 100 foot or adding that in, I'd be comfortable with. But that is a significant change and that can throw off some properties. So I'm just curious if others have strong thoughts or feelings regarding this one.
Oh, Brian, I think we skipped over.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This
Did I miss
here.
one?
Yep, establish adding a definition for seeps or just leaving it as it is without a definition.
No wonder I didn't know what you were talking about.
I am so sorry. Yeah.
Like,
So that was be no removal of vegetation, litter, moss, area within seep boundaries. So not sure how others are reading this one. I'm not prepared to define what a seat boundary is tonight. I'm not sure if anybody else is comfortable. Actually, Lori, you might have a good way of explaining what a seat boundary is tonight. But I'm curious as to the way it's written. If we say yes, that we want to have it defined, if that means we want to have it defined going forward, or we probably need to put that definition in for this.
Don't we
So
have steep in a definition somewhere else that they can refer back to
copy
it?
paste. I would hope. I think this is one of the ones, seeing how we don't have to pass it tonight. Lauren, is this one I can ask you? Could we get some proposed SEEP definition language that we can look at and maybe approve or disapprove next time?
Sure. Okay.
Does that make sense to everyone?
Mhm.
Okay. So now, work within 100 feet of a vernal pool. And I'll put that same question out. People think it's too restrictive, not restrictive enough. People have questions, comments about it. Just happy to hear any thoughts.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Staying at 100 feet.
I don't even know if we have it. I think it might be 25-foot no touch. And then it's we don't allow any work within 25 feet, and then it becomes jurisdictional. I think this is extending that to the full 100, basically making it like a riverfront.
Mhm.
All right. If people are comfortable, and again, it seems like it's something we can change. So this would be an interesting one if we do change it to 100 feet, if it ends up becoming a problem or too restrictive, or we really get some serious pushback, if it's something we can change back in the future, is my guess.
Mhm.
Or maybe even increase. All right. So I'm going to call for a roll call vote for page 29, section D, to include the words 100 feet of a vernal pool, or to establish the distance of 100 feet of a vernal pool, not allowing any work within 100 feet of a vernal pool. All those in favor of this, please say aye, starting with Paul.
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and Lauren, I'm an aye as well. Yeah, 2,500. Okay.
Is this one a new, totally new thing we're putting in?
Let me pull up the other
It looks
document.
like it might be.
I think the state bylaw on this one is 5,000.
Oh, I see. So we want to restrict it to less than that.
Yeah, it's
essentially.
coming down less than the 5,000 the state. Yeah.
Page 32 standards. Yeah, so this is fully new, right? Looking at that.
So what is it? What's the practical implication here? Because we would have to approve anything anyway. Are we saying we are not allowed to approve any more than 2,500 feet ever?
So I'm trying to wetlands and lost areas of place pursuant to the standards. In the fall. All right. This is what I was going to say. I'm not sure if people have strong thoughts or feelings. And this is on me too. I saw that the whole the standards of 310 CMR 1055. I have not read through that to see exactly what that is, what standards we're tying it to. And whether that would give us that leeway. I think, I know I still have some questions on this one. For me, I'd almost want to punt this one and see if we can get some more information from Rebecca before moving forward or agreeing to this one, but I'm not sure if others feel more comfortable with it. Other thoughts, questions?
Yeah, I'm not really sure what we're voting on.
Yeah, same here. That's what I was asking. Is like, are we restricting our own ability to approve something in the future?
Right. So, Lauren, I think this is one we'll probably pass on for tonight.
Okay.
And if possible, and again, if Rebecca watches the recording, it's just one I think we need a little bit more information on what this would actually do or trigger.
Okay.
All right, so this page. Okay, so the next one, the page 32 ratios are the next. Sorry, on the and I could be wrong, but I think those are fairly standard ratios or ratios we had found other places, or Rebecca had found other places when she was drafting these. I am comfortable with those ratios in that again, I think it was a standard one that she had put in or something basic that she had put in. I don't know that I have a strong enough understanding of the subject matter to say, no, it's going to be a 2-to-1 biomass carbon ratio. I think I'm comfortable with those ratios as proposed for page 32. But I'm curious if others have thoughts, questions, comments.
So this one seems to say that it needs to be at least 1-to-1. And
Yeah.
we may have the right to say it should be more than 2-to-1 where there is special circumstances. So seems reasonable to me.
Right. And it's usually, that seems like what we've kind of done unofficially for in recent years. All right. So I'd like to call for a roll call vote to accept the proposed change, proposed Article 4, page 32, section 32, performance standards and the biomass and the ratios as proposed in this particular draft. All those in favor, please say aye, starting with Paul.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Lori.
Aye.
And Lauren, I'm an aye as well.
Thank you.
All right, and then I think the final one is the damage list. Oh, this was the replacement of trees. That's right, by in-kind replacements. All right, 20 inches was 350%. This is the tree, right? On sizes. Okay. I think I'm comfortable with this one as drafted. This is, it's another one of those where I worry about us restricting ourselves too much or locking us into, you must do it this way, whereas sometimes we find better ideas. It is nice that it kind of codifies this and kind of does have this already in writing that we are going to be asking for this, but I'm curious what others think. Comments, questions, thoughts?
Trying to visualize how big is a tree that's over 20 inches.
Big.
And
It would be big, wouldn't it? So I mean, really,
that's a good diameter tree. Yeah.
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 Few
Because
years old.
Yeah. So that would be a hard one to require, 320 plus. Well, I guess it's replacement quantity could be at a different age. I guess what's throwing me with this one, believe it or not, is the in-kind replacement. I'd hate for somebody to read that in kind as I ripped out 3 of these type bushes. I need to put back in 3 of these type bushes because sometimes what you're ripping out is not stuff we want here. And we want you to plant native pollinators. We want you to plant native species. I'm worried that that could be read as, yeah, I ripped out, 3 bittersweet vines. So I need to replace that with 3 bittersweet vines. No.
That's how I read it.
Right.
Mhm.
So I guess, Lauren, does that make sense what I'm saying? Because this is something, again, if Rebecca
Yeah.
watches, I think she'll understand, or if you can explain to her, I guess that would be like I would think this is one we probably won't move forward on tonight because that's kind of where I'm getting stuck on it. And I'm curious again, almost to Paul's point, but if somebody removes a 20-inch diameter tree, we're really going to try to have them replace it with a 20-inch diameter tree, or is it 3 similar
you
trees,
wouldn't
maybe at
really
a
be able
younger
to do
age,
that.
right? If they get rid, I'm assuming it's less mature trees that they can replace it with.
Yeah.
But it's
But
not
even-
stating what size, if you're removing 3 oak trees, obviously, because they would be big trees. Well, what age is, that this tree has to be that you're removing?
Right.
Right.
Not a,
And,
not a 1-gallon plant, it's gotta be something of substantial size, which isn't stating that.
Well, I think that's why they have the number, right? So you can say it's 3 decent sized trees or it's 10 small trees. You know?
Right, yeah.
I think that's the idea, but
And we might want to, because again, it might
Mm.
just defining like exactly that. Is it a seedling or is it, or is it a small tree or anything like that?
Okay, so I guess the 2 questions are, what would the age of the replacement trees need to be and how do we word that in here? And whether or not we should keep the in-kind language or say something along the lines of like replacement with native species, something like that.
Replacement to be determined by the commission.
Okay,
A suitable replacement to be determined by the commission, or similar replacement to be determined.
okay, so I'll talk to Rebecca about those 2
Okay.
questions.
And I should just ask, in case anybody wants to ask Rebecca, I was comfortable with the 20% of limbing, our definition of extensive pruning being 20% or more of limbs or growth. That seemed like a fair number to me. Not sure if everybody comfortable with that 20% for our extensive pruning.
20% of what?
If somebody limbing a tree, basically, or removing an area, how sometimes we remove woody vegetation from like a bank or something, that, cutting it back a little is fine. If you're taking out more than 20%, that's when we look at as an extensive pruning, and we talk about mitigation.
Yeah, I guess I'm still, help me out a little more, Brian, sorry.
No, that's fine. I could be misunderstanding it as well. So please go
I'm
ahead.
still confused. 20% of a tree, 20% of the limbs on one tree, 20% of 5 trees?
I think it's on one specific tree, the pruning of one tree.
Okay, one
Yeah.
tree. Okay.
And again, it would fall in with those same inches, believe it,
Yeah, okay, yeah, okay.
okay.
Yeah,
So
okay,
if we're
good.
taking
Sorry.
down 2 and like taking off half of 1, it can be considered 3 if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, thank
And
you.
that it's I don't, I just, well, I'm when I look at that, is that like a, shrub? Because you get trees and shrubs, so is that like 20% of a tree? Because that's, the tree's not gonna grow another arm, but if you're gonna remove like dogwood, that it's in this wetlands, well, you can remove a third of that, and a third, and it'll grow back again, it'll just keep reproducing itself. So I'm not quite sure, like if someone's trying to get an area to come back properly, take out a third, take out a third, take out a third. So is that like a tree, or are we talking everything in general?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, I was gonna say, Lauren, this is an interesting one to come back with, Rebecca. Yeah, I guess we have a few questions on how it's worded, just defining it a little better.
And actually, I'm looking up here and I think this is touching on the language a little bit more. So it says in-kind replacement shall refer to a combination of species type and surface
Okay.
area as defined by the area delineated by the drip line of the affected plants. So means the same type and quantity of plant species that was removed, extensively pruned or damaged. Okay, but that still could be an invasive plant, right?
Or damage unless compelling evidence is, yeah. In kind means same type. Yeah, I'm still right. Even with that, I think I would have some questions about rewording that in kind to a better language that helps us to determine. Even if we do something with similar species, similar to species at the discretion of the Conservation Commission, to try to make sure we're trying to match in kind, but we're gonna basically stick with non-invasives and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's the last one, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So I think we're putting a hold on 3 and then we have the rest was voted on.
So
So
that's-
maybe we can aim to, talk to Rebecca about it in the next couple weeks, and then at the following meeting, maybe we can try to vote on those last 3 and then vote for it to go to be reviewed by town council.
That would be excellent.
Okay.
Progress though. We've been sitting on these for almost a year now. So we've actually agreed on some of them and pushing it forward. It's a wonderful thing. All right. So getting back to the agenda. I guess I would say if we can go in any order. 147 Long Hill Road, a request for a certificate of compliance. As I say, I'm not sure if anybody is here, the applicant or anybody representing them here tonight. I don't think so, right? Doesn't look like anyone else is here.
Nope.
Okay. I know with this one, I believe they had submitted some photos and some narratives about that everything should be all set. But I know this is one that we wanted to get Rebecca out to actually do a site visit on. And I'm looking at her notes. It looks like it was still covered in snow basically, and she's trying to get out there as soon as she can. But on this one, and again, I'll open it up to commission members. I would want to wait on this one until she's had a chance to go out and actually see that they have actually completed everything as stated. Are people comfortable with that? Anybody not comfortable with that? Understand what I'm saying we should probably hold off on the COC until she has a chance to get out there?
I would agree.
I agree with you.
Okay. In that case, I guess I can go for a roll call vote. All those in favor of waiting to issue a certificate of compliance until our conservation agent has had a chance to do a site visit at the location, please say aye. Starting with Paul.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Lori.
Aye.
And Lauren, I'm an aye as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so the next I had is the request for the extension for the permit for 164 Green Road. Right, and I don't think anybody is here tonight representing them.
I don't have anyone in the waiting room.
Just making sure. Okay, and just so commission members know, we do have the ability to extend an order of conditions, but we're only allowed to extend it for 1 year. We can then again extend it for 1 year again on top of that. But if people were comfortable extending tonight, we could extend the order of conditions for 1 year. I have no issue with it. I can understand that, you know, where they run into some of their delays. The infiltration system, and we have issued these type of extensions in the past. I'm perfectly comfortable with giving a 1-year extension for 164 Green Road. But I'm opening up to commission members, thoughts, comments, questions, other ideas.
Do we know when this was originally approved? How long ago it was?
Oh, that's a good question.
I
Lauren,
want to
I'm not
say it
sure.
was, I want to say it was either during 2020 or 2021. I know that the project hasn't even started yet, and I think the first extension was due to the pandemic and the supply chains, and now I think it's still a continuation of that, plus maybe funding.
Okay,
can
so
pull up-
typically these last for 3 years. Is that what it is? And then we've done one extension, so it's been 4 years, and now we do another, so it's been 5 years.
Right. Right. We do have a letter from the
If-
engineer who said that there were no changes to the resource areas that were originally, when they were originally delineated. So we have a statement on that too. And I can pull up some of these documents if you need.
No, I
I'm so-
just wanted to know if it was like 15 years ago or.
Oh, okay. No, I
I'm
think
so-
it was maybe 4 years now.
I was going to say, is this the second extension, or is there? Is
This
this
is the
the first
second.
extension, or is it a
This
second?
is the second extension.
This is the second. Okay.
And I'm assuming the plans didn't change, right? He didn't change the size of the
Right.
addition.
No changes have been
Correct.
made.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So other comments, questions, people comfortable extending?
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, I'm gonna make a CRISPR's. I'm trying to think if this has to be roll call or motion. I think it's just simply, well, Lori Stevenson, do you remember something like this? An extension? Is it roll call, or do we have to do a motion?
I don't remember.
You know, it
We
seems like I
actually don't-
should.
Yeah, I mean, there really aren't that many of them.
Right. All right. I guess we'll just.
I'm thinking because we didn't need to post a legal ad for this, it's not technically like a public hearing, I guess, in a sense. So
Yeah.
a roll call vote should be okay. That's my take on it. I'm not sure though.
Okay.
And when
Um,
nothing is changing.
Yeah.
Right,
Um,
there's no changes.
All right. Well, in that case,
If you'd like, I can pull up the documents just so we can have them on the screen just to review once over before taking the vote.
no, it was, I mean, I saw that they weren't doing any changes. It was literally just an extension on their documents. I'm debating, do we do it both ways? Do I do the motion and we approve it via a motion? Which I guess would work for a roll call as well, right? So that way, if we had to do it via motion, at least it's done. They don't have to wait 2 weeks. All right. And again, if we didn't have to do it via motion, I think that will still cover us for a roll call vote. So I'm going to try it that way. Just want to get it right, which is odd. I'm going to make a motion that, oh, no, you're right. I don't have to close the public hearing. You're right. Shoot. All right. And then I think it is just a roll call vote. And my apologies if it is not. And so I'm going to poll the commission. All those in favor of issuing a 1-year extension for the permit for the orders of conditions for 164 Green Road, DEP file number 112-685. All those in favor, please say aye, starting with Paul,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and Lauren. I'm an aye as well. And I'm hoping we did that right, and I apologize if we didn't. All right. Lauren.
Yes.
So next up, I said that there was a request from the students of Minuteman High to utilize the stream near the athletic fields for educational purposes. As far as the assessments AVP pro, I'm just wondering if you had any more information on that. Interviews.
I think that I believe they've done this work in the past, and I think they're trying to make this kind of an annual thing for the students. Let me see what Rebecca's notes say here. So it's specifically collecting data on invertebrates. That's what they're trying to
Okay.
do, and it's the site at the Forbush Mill Fields.
Gotcha. And it was their cold water fisheries. That's right. And I think Lauren's correct. We have approved things like this in the past. I know they've done other projects, not on Forbush Mill Road, but other similar projects in the past. I think it's a great educational use of our conservation lands. I have no issue with it. Any members of the commission have additional questions, comments, problems, thoughts?
They usually do it on vernal pools, but yep.
That's right. That's right. Comfortable with cold water fishery study? Those
Yep.
kids out in the field?
Yep.
No, absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. In that case, I'd like to call for a roll call vote. All those, poll commission members, all those in favor of granting the request for the students of Minuteman High School to utilize the stream near the athletic field for educational purposes, please say aye, starting with Paul,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and Lauren. I'm an aye as well. Did everybody get to see the annual report? Was that part of our packet, right?
Yep.
That's it. Drop by annual report. Anybody have comments, questions, edits, changes? People comfortable with it? People need more time with it? And seeing no,
Good.
hearing no comments. Yeah, I was seeing if I had any notes. All right, then I'm gonna call for a roll call vote of commission members. All those in favor of approving the Conservation Department's annual report as drafted and submitted at this evening's meeting, please say aye. Starting with Paul,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and Lauren. I'm an aye as well. I think the rest of it is just our updates, right?
There's the enforcement order update on, Rebecca had some notes on Meadow Road.
Okay.
There's no updates for 100 East End Road or Century Mill Estates.
That's good. Okay. So and it looks like we're continuing right now. It's continuing with the enforcement procedures, basically. And it looks like if she has to issue an enforcement order, that we might need to ratify that in an upcoming meeting. But as of tonight, I think it's just basically educational, her keeping us up to speed as to where this stands right now. Like there was no movement we had to take on it tonight, Lauren, if I'm correct. It was more just keeping us up to date as to where we stand.
Yeah, I think so. There was some runoff into the roadway, traveling into wetland resource areas. So she mentioned that the enforcement procedures had begun and letters were mailed to the property owners. But let's see, we'll continue with enforcement procedures if no action remains to be taken for a stabilization and materials still migrating into the resource areas. So right now we're just kind of waiting for them to try to do something about the runoff.
Yeah, and I was going to say if we have to issue the enforcement order, we'll probably be asked to ratify it, but we're not at that point in time yet.
Right.
Okay. So that said, our minutes. Did people have a chance to read through the minutes from the meeting on January 16th? If so, any edits, corrections, changes? If not, does anybody need any more time to look through the minutes? Okay, no issues. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes for our January 16th, 2024 meeting as drafted and submitted at this evening's meeting. Do I hear a second for minutes?
Second.
All those in favor, starting with Paul,
Aye.
Jim,
I wasn't at the meeting, Brian.
you can abstain. Yep. Lori,
Aye.
and Lauren, I'm an aye as well.
All right, thank you.
You were missed, Jim. You will need to fill in some additional volunteer hours this month. We'll send you assignments.
All righty.
To say I don't really have any updates on the Forest Legacy program or the Bolton Trails Connectivity Improvement Project. I know that's still going, still continuing and ongoing. We have our authorized trail projects that are still ongoing or being knocked off one at a time. Our land steward position still open, and shockingly, 3 open Conservation Commission positions for anybody out there looking to do some volunteer work on a great commission that has all sorts of fun sometimes. I think that is all I have on the agenda. Lauren, did I miss anything that we needed to go over this evening?
No, I think we covered it.
Excellent.
I will say though that just for everyone to know, the Massachusetts Association of Conservation Commissions, they're having their conference coming up in March. I think it's March. I don't remember the exact date, but maybe the first Saturday of March. So I think Rebecca is able to register you if you're interested in attending at all. So you can just reach out to us and let us know.
I was to say I've gone, and I haven't gone in a long time, but I was able to go one year. It is really well worth it. It's fascinating stuff if you have the time and the chance. Excellent. Right. Any commission members have any new business? Anything they need to bring up that we have not discussed this evening? None. I should point, I think I mentioned to some commission members earlier, but just in the public hearing, just want to mention we did meet with Advisory Commission tonight. They approved our proposed budget for 2025, and that will be going forward to annual town meeting this year. That said, I'd like to make a motion that we hereby adjourn the February 6th, 2024 meeting of the Bolton Conservation Commission. Do I hear a second for adjourning?
Second.
All those in favor, starting with Paul,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and Lauren, I'm an aye as well.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, no, thank you, Lauren. Good to see everybody. Talk to y'all soon. I was gonna say those half an
Good
hour
night.
meetings. What's going on?
Yeah.
We
yeah,
get
we
back
gotta
on
get
track,
back on
Megan.
track.
Yeah, next meeting.
All right.
All right, everyone, take care.
All right,
Right,
good night.
night.
Yeah, bye.